Hey everyone, this is Marla again with part 2 of our stretching / mindfulness video series from Elm City Wellness. So if you didn't catch the first video, I recommend watching it. It's just a few things that you can do when you first wake up to sort of set yourself up for your day, whether or not you have anything to do. The intent of these videos is just to give you guys some practices that you can do from the comfort of your own home. They're quick. It's just a few things you could do morning, afternoon maybe, and before you go to sleep. Just some things to be aware of, stretching, some breathing tips, exercises, things like that while you are stuck at home, whether or not you're on quarantine or you're caring for someone who is sick. We really just want you guys to check in with yourselves, practice mindfulness, and really do what you can to take care of yourself in this really stressful time. All right, so like I said, this is part 2. This is going to be more stretching focused. With the morning video, I wanted you guys to just sort of wake up your bodies and kind of check in with yourself. These are some stretches specifically that you can do midday. Maybe you've been on the couch all day, maybe you've been working from home all day. This is for, someone who's been in a very sedentary position, whether you're laying, you're seated. Even once you do go back to work, if you're someone who is really just kind of like behind a desk at a computer all day long, seated, this is going to be some stretches that you can do kind of targeted for the lower body, hips, and low back. All right, so one of the first things I like to remind people to stretch is their inner thighs, their adductors. We stretch our quads, we stretch our hamstrings. A lot of people forget about this groin area, the adductors, these inner thigh muscles, they get super tight. So a great thing you can do is, if you can, bring yourself into a butterfly pose. You don't have to have your heels as close to your groin as I do. You can extend like this. If that's as far as you can get, that's fine. You don't have to worry if your knees are up here, if they're flush with the ground. Wherever you're at, perfectly fine. The intent here is just to sort of bring some awareness to this area. So I tend to be pretty flexible in my lower body, so I start with my feet pretty close into my body. Just to warm up a little bit, you can, bounce the knees up and down like this if that feels comfortable for you. Drawing the heels in, scooting the butt a little bit closer if you feel like you're good and settled there. And if you can, go for it. Kind of tuck yourself in, bring yourself closer to your feet, closer to the floor, until you feel a good stretch in those inner thighs, those adductor muscles. So we'll just sit with this for a little bit. If this isn't enough for you, you can even bring those elbows and kind of push down on the calves or on the knees to sort of deepen that stretch. Just like that. And remember to breathe through all of this. I put a lot of emphasis on the breathing in that first video, but don't forget, through all of these, you should be taking nice deep breaths. All right, from there, what you can do is a wide leg child's pose. So we're all familiar with child's pose probably, but when you widen the heels, you widen the feet a little bit. I'm not sure the best way to show you guys this, so I'll try a couple different angles. But you widen the knees, and you sort of sit back into that child's pose. You should feel it a little bit deeper in the inner thigh muscles. Now you can have your feet, I'll turn so you can see this a little better. You can have your knees wide and your feet close. You can have your feet apart. You can try a couple different angles and you'll hit some different muscle groups with that. Perfect. Now, the next stretch I wanted to show you all is a high runner's lunge. You can do any variation of lunge. These are my recommendations. Personally, I find the best stretch to be from the high runner's lunge. And this is really great for the quads, the hip flexors, right in here. A lot of people get a lot of tension, especially if you're sitting quite a bit. So put one foot out front, one back here. Hopefully you can all see me from here. All you really need to worry about is the hips down. And you're going to lunge, but you're going to stay up on your toes. You're not going to get down on your knee yet. You're going to stay nice and high and on your back toes. And kind of find what works for you. If you need to walk that foot out a little more, go for it. If this is too deep for you, make adjustments. And once you find that good stretch right in here, this is where you should be feeling it, is this small little area where the hip flexor, you know, where this muscle here crosses the hip joint. And just sit with that for a little bit. And same thing on the other side. I can almost guarantee you that these sides will feel very different for you. Not many of us are balanced, especially when it comes to the hips. I have a lot of restriction on my right side. I feel this way more. So just be mindful of that too. If you can't go as far on one side, that's totally fine. It might be something you want to work on in the future, kind of moving forward, knowing that you need to spend more time with one side. But for now, just be aware of it. Great. And I know I said before, do not let your knee drop yet. If you do want to, this I would be careful with if you don't have a ton of flexibility here. But if you want to drop that knee, kind of reach back and bring this foot up, you'll get a nice deep stretch in that quad, kind of in the muscle belly. So you'll feel it in a little different of a spot, but it will be a very, very deep stretch. Again, we do so much sitting, you might think, well, I'm not really using my legs. They're just kind of hanging out doing nothing. But that's not healthy either. You know, you want to actually get some blood into those muscles. Stretch everything out every once in a while, even if you are just completely seated for a long period of time. Great. Now, the last thing I wanted to show you guys for the lower body is a nice calf stretch. So a good way to do this is up against a wall. I'm not really at a wall right now, so I'm going to try to improvise, but just walk yourself up against a wall and stretch out the back of that leg, that calf muscle. So the goal here is to try to keep your heel flat on the floor. It might raise up a little bit, but as long as you're feeling that stretch right here in the back of that calf, you're doing it right. And just another reminder, if you are seated, you know, right now we're all stuck at home, we're all on the couch, we're all seated at a table, working from home, whatever. If you don't want to stretch all day long, you don't have to. Get up and take some breaks at least. Walk around a little bit, pace the room, walk up, get a glass of water, something. Just walk. You need to keep these muscles kind of fluid. You know, you need blood moving through. You need to sort of wake everything up every once in a while. So just remind yourself that. Try not to stay in one position for 8 hours straight, even if there's something really, really good on Netflix. All right, thank you guys again. If you check in a little bit later, there will be a video for things you can do before you go to sleep at night. All right, thanks again. Stay healthy, everyone.